speech to the Conservative Party conference was supposed to reboot her leadership, but instead it's likely to be remembered for the interruptions by a comedian, her coughing fit, and a set falling apart around her. So how much damage will it do to her long-term? Philip Blond is a former Cameron advisor, now a director of Respublica. He is in our Westminster studio. Hello to you. Thank you for joining us on Sky News this afternoon. If it had been your leader, would you have had your head in your hands?
Well, I think everybody, on a human level would have felt for her and did feel for her. I think, the great criticism of Theresa May is she can't emote. Well, here she did emote, and she showed kind of aspects of her personality of, soldiering on. I mean, what's clear from this is, this is a woman who won't resign or stand down. She will carry out her duty as she sees it to the very limit, if necessary. So I think in that aspect, it sort of creates a form of sympathy around her that she hasn't really had before. But if I look at the speech itself and what it represented, it seemed very incoherent. If you go back to when she first spoke and first entered Downing Street, her first conference speech, it was a recognition that markets as currently constructed don't work for ordinary people. And we know they don't work for ordinary people. We've got wage stagnation on a level that we haven't seen since the Napoleonic Wars. Ordinary people who she wants to speak to are struggling. So it's very weird for her to go back to the 1980s and start talking about markets are working, because that isn't how you beat what Jeremy Corbyn is trying to do, which is to have a 1970s solution. You don't go back to having a 1980s response to a 1970s solution. That isn't part of the future. Okay. And I think the other aspect that was really troubling is there were no big ideas at all. All the policies were tiny, were incremental, were very, very small, and will make absolutely no at-scale difference whatsoever. Okay. And at least if you go back to the 1980s, Thatcherism was full of big transformative ideas. So it was sort of like, on the policy level, the worst of both worlds. And I think...
Let me get a word in edgeways here. Let me get a word in edgeways. Thank you. I'm glad you're talking about the body of the speech, because we think it might have been plagiarised a little bit from the West Wing. Here we go.
It's when tested the most that we reach deep within ourselves and find that our capacity to rise to the challenge before us may well be limitless.
And every time we think we've measured our capacity to meet a challenge, we look up and we're reminded that that capacity may well be limitless.
Oh dear, Philip. Oh dear.
Goodness me. I think what this shows is that in number 10, the people around her, nobody's in sufficient charge. With the departure of Nick Timothy, whatever one thinks about him, he was clearly a man of ideas and direction. And this speech didn't have any ideas and didn't have any direction. And then the clip you've just played, that's a different kind of wince. That's a different kind of embarrassment. What they really need to do is, if they want to get out of this tailspin, and they can, is to restore somebody who is in control of ideas, direction, ideology, if you will, because at the moment it looks really spasmodic, and the clip you've just played is, well, quite frankly, embarrassing.